In this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to enroll in benefits in the Workday system. Once you enter Workday, go to your inbox. You can access your inbox either by clicking the worklet on your homepage or by clicking the worklet up by your name and selecting Inbox. I'm going to choose to enter through the worklet on my homepage. In this case, this employee has multiple items and tasks to do. I'm specifically looking at this time for the enrollment guide and an open enrollment change. The enrollment guide is going to give you information about your benefits. Once you highlight this document, you'll see that there is a PDF and the name of the document. We will deploy documents to you on a regular basis, so please check your inbox routinely. All of them will deploy the same way, and that you'll simply click the link right here. It will open it by dropping it on a bar down below in most cases. Sometimes it hides behind the page you're on, so you may have to minimize the page by clicking the little minus sign, and you can see it behind sometimes. Simply click the document and it'll bring up the actual text of the document. Once you bring this enrollment guide up, please print it or save it. If you're at a home computer, please save it. If you're at work, please ask your manager if he can provide you a copy of it. Printing and saving is done by downloading or by printing. The document, in this case the Coleman-Workday moving document, contains information about your benefits, in this case for 2017. Different facilities may have different documents, but they should all be very similar. They're going to provide you information on changes and highlights to the program, including things that might be moved or taken away and things that might be added. Please read through all of this because it's important information pertinent to your enrollment. In this case, this is a passive enrollment. You don't have to get into Workday and do this enrollment. However, we would like to see you do it, especially because you need to update your beneficiaries, in particular for your company paid life insurance. If you were in the benefits last year, all of those benefits will map over to the same plans in the current year or a similar plan. In some cases, you may have a plan that you were in that is no longer going to be available. You need to be sure which plan it's going to be mapped to. In this case, the mid-range plan is going to be removed, and anybody in it would be mapped to the high deductible plan if they don't make an election. You may not want to be in the high deductible plan, and the only way to change that would be to log in and make the election. You can leave this document up while you're enrolling. Once you're finished, you can click Submit, but it's very difficult to get back to it. You can always go to your manager and ask for another copy, or contact HR and we can send you a copy. The next step would be to go to your enrollment. For open enrollment, you will see it say Open Enrollment. If this is your first time enrolling, it may say New Hire Enrollment. Or if you've had a baby or you were married or divorced, it may say Qualifying Event or Benefit Change. All of the enrollments are handled in the same fashion. Enrollments first have information at the top that tell you what to do and how to do it. And the next step is to disclose whether or not you're a tobacco user. This impacts the plans that you apply for. You'll simply go through and select each plan that you would like to be in. When there's multiple plans of the same type, like 2 medical plans or 2 dental, you may only select one. In this case, I'm going to select the buy-up plan, and I'm going to select Employee and Spouse. If I entered my dependents when I was onboarding, I can click Existing Dependents, and they'll appear here. If I didn't, that's fine. You can add a dependent. In this case, it wants to know, do you want to use this dependent as a beneficiary? I do. I think I'll use my spouse as my beneficiary. I'm going to add some information about my spouse. Note that it's a spouse. An ex-spouse cannot be a dependent, but can be a beneficiary. I need to put my spouse's date of birth and select a gender. I'm going to go ahead and add citizenship status. It's not required though. I can choose whether or not there's a tobacco user mark here or full-time student, but also not required. It is required to enter the Social Security number, and that's found under National ID. Click Add, select Social Security number, and then enter the accurate Social Security number for this dependent. I'm just putting in a demo number that's not relevant to anybody. The next thing I'm going to do is come down to the bottom and make sure that there's nothing else down here that I need to enter. If I click OK and I've missed a field, Workday is going to tell me by giving me an error up in the top right side. Since it didn't, I can see now that Jessie Test, my spouse, has been added. I'm in the buy-up plan, my employee and spouse, and it tells me how much this is going to cost on a semi-monthly basis because Joe Test is a salaried employee who gets paid on a semi-monthly basis. Up in the top corner, this will tally up the total amount that the semi-monthly cost will be. If you're a weekly employee, that will show in a weekly amount. It also shows down here how much the employer is paying on your behalf. I'm going to select the dental premium plan, and again, employee and spouse. And I don't have to enter a lot of information every time. In this case, I've entered it one time, and now Jessie Test, my spouse, shows up. If I wanted to add additional dependents, maybe I wanted to come and put family coverage, or I want to do employee and children, I could add my dependents simply by clicking the box, adding more dependents, and continuing until I've added everybody I need to add. I'm going to elect vision coverage. In this case, I'm only going to cover myself. My costs are tallying. If I scroll up, I can see them up here, and I can also see them down here and see a total. Aflac offers a couple of different coverages for us: hospital indemnity and accident insurance. I can choose to elect and the type of coverage. I'm going to do employee only. I'm not going to elect accident insurance because I can skip some if I'd like. And when I'm complete with this page, I'll click Continue at the bottom. The next option I have is for my flexible spending accounts. We have two, a healthcare and a dependent care flexible spending account. They're through a provider called WageWorks. If you were in the flexible spending account in 2016, we were with a provider called Task. Your Task card will no longer work after December 31st of this year. In 2017, WageWorks will send you a new card if you make a new election for that year. Additionally, if you roll money over from the 2016 year into the 2017 year, that money will not be available for your use until March. I'm going to elect my flexible spending account, and there's more information on this in the guide. If you're not sure how a flexible spending account works, please read your guide, please speak to your manager, or feel free to call somebody in Human Resources and we'll be glad to help you. The maximum contribution for a healthcare flexible spending account is $2,600. I'm going to elect all $2,600. That's also going to populate down here and show how much per paycheck. If I knew how much I wanted each paycheck, I could have entered that instead, and it would have told me what the total for the year was. I'm not going to add any dependent care FSAs, but if you have children in daycare, this is another good one to add, as it reduces your taxable income. These are eligible for $5,000 rather than $2,600. When I've finished, I'm going to click Continue. There's information about the Aflac Critical Insurance Program. There's additional information at the top. You can see my total right now on a semi-monthly basis. I can see the basic life insurance that I'm eligible for. In this case, this employee is eligible for $25,000. This is life insurance that the company pays for the employee. There's no cost to you. If I'd like to add additional information, additional life insurance, I can do that. If I want to add spouse or child life insurance, I must elect voluntary life insurance. I'm going to elect $50,000 for me, or for Joe. For my spouse, I can only elect half of that, so I'll elect $25,000. Again, I have to choose the dependent. In this case, there's only one, Jessie, and Jessie's already in the system. I'm not going to elect child life, but if you wanted to, you can check this box, and all children who you have as dependents will be covered for one single price. They're covered for $10,000. We offer short-term disability. You can select how much you would like to be paid per week. There are limits based on your compensation, and please read your guide for those limits. You can also elect long-term disability, and that automatically populates for 60% of your salary. It tells you how much coverage that actually means and the cost that it's going to be for you. If I'd like critical illness insurance through Aflac, I can select $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 in coverage. If I select for me, I can also select for my spouse. In this case, I'm going to elect $10,000, but I'm not going to elect spouse coverage. There's nothing you need to do on this benefit use for office use only. And I'm going to continue to the next page. This page gives me an opportunity to enter my beneficiaries. Please take the time to do this. Every plan that displays here requires a beneficiary. And as an HR person, we really want to encourage you to designate who you would like this money going to. Simply click the plus sign. Select somebody you have out there. In this case, I did select earlier that I wanted Jessie to be an eligible beneficiary. I'm going to have Jessie be 50% of my beneficiary for my primary percentage. A contingent would be somebody in case Jessie was not alive at the time this needed to pay out. But suppose I want to add another person. I only have 50% allocated and it needs to be 100%. I simply click the plus sign again and add another line. And I'm going to create somebody. A beneficiary can be anybody. It can be a friend. It can be a parent. It can be a sibling. I'm going to put my sibling in here. And you can see down at the bottom that you must enter some information for the name. And then please click contact information and add at least a phone number or an email. If I don't do this, the system's going to give me an error and tell me I need to go back. At least one address is required in this case, so I also need an address. And I have to tell it what type of address it is. We'll say it's a home address. And I'm going to try to click OK and see if I have enough information. And now I can see that Chris Test is in here. This is also going to be a primary percentage, or primary beneficiary, at the other 50%, so I now have 100%. I'll continue and do this with all of my plans. Each one has to be elected separately. And if you're electing for your 401k, that must be done directly on the Prudential site. I'm going to click Continue at this time, but we encourage you to do all of them while you're doing your enrollment. This person is a driver, so has an option for both CDL Defender and Family Defender. I'm going to elect CDL Defender. It adds the cost. I'm not going to elect Family Defender. If I was interested in pet insurance, I would need to contact VPI, also known as Nationwide, and the information for contacting is in your guide. Once you've set up everything with VPI, please contact the HR department to provide your premiums so that we can enter this for your payroll deduction. You cannot do anything in the election here. If you previously had it, it would display at what level you had. I'm going to click Continue. And that's going to bring me to a summary page. I can see at the top the total semi-monthly cost is $536.01. It gives me a display of everything that I've elected, when I will be eligible for it, the type of people who are covered, and the coverage amounts, and who the dependents are if it was something other than employee-only coverage. It tells my cost for each plan, and it tells how much the company pays for those plans if the company is contributing as well. Down below, I can look and see waived coverages. If I decided I wanted to go back and do spouse critical illness, I would simply come down to the bottom of the page and click Go Back until I reached the correct page, made that adjustment, and then clicked Continue through until I got back here. I can see any beneficiaries in this area. And here, there's a legal notice that we have that tells you what you're doing, what you're signing for. When you've read it and you agree to it, please check the box that says Agree and click Submit. The system's automatically going to bring you to one more review page. It again tells you what you've committed to. It gives you the display of everything that you've elected. In this case, it shows not just your dependents, but your beneficiaries as well and your total cost. It shows your waived coverages. It shows again your beneficiaries. And it shows the electronic signature down here showing that you signed it and the date that you did. Please always print this document. This ensures that you have proof for what you had intended in case there was a system error. Please check your first pay stub of the year, or if you're a new enrollee, make sure that you check the first pay stub after your benefits become active. Make sure that your rates are correct and that all of the benefits that you elected are there and that none that you didn't elect are there. You can use this sheet to contact HR and let us know this is what you had actually signed up for. You have 30 days from enrollment to notify us of an error. If you don't in that time, your benefits will remain intact until the end of the year. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact your manager or somebody in Human Resources. Thank you.